Hey everyone. So today I read Poncho Rabbit and the Coyote, A Migrant's Tale. Something's going on with my phone, so it wouldn't let me add the author's note, but I feel like it's very important to go along with the book, so I'm going to read it here. In Spanish, the word coyote has two meanings. It is the name of an animal, but it is also slang for a person who smuggles people between the U.S. and Mexican border. I am fortunate in many ways. I was raised in a middle class family in Mexico. My mother is Mexican and my father is American. I have dual citizenship and I can enter and leave the US and Mexico whenever I choose. I was able to attend high school and college in America. Most of the kids in my colonia or neighborhood in San Miguel de Allende are not so fortunate. They did not expect to go to college or pursue careers. Their highest expectation was to become, and I don't speak Spanish, so albañiles, to carry bricks and mix cement as part of the workforce. Many left for the U.S. by the time they turned 18 years old. When they came back to San Miguel, either on their own or having been deported, they told stories about eating snake when they ran out of food while crossing the desert, or waiting for days in a shanty house in a border town for the coyote to show up. One of my neighbors, we used to play hockey with sticks and limes from a tree, died of dehydration while trying to cross. According to a 2010 Pew Research Center report, 11.2 million undocumented immigrants live in the U.S. Most of them are from Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. An average of 150,000 unauthorized immigrants enter the U.S. each year. The number was triple that in the early 2000s, before the economic recession. According to Amnesty International, immigrants leave their home countries mostly due to poverty and lack of opportunities at home. They come to the U.S. looking for work and for a better life for themselves and their families. Immigrants pay coyotes exorbitant fees and risk their lives to reach their destination. They encounter terrible dangers throughout their journey. Central American immigrants travel around 5,000 miles on top of trains to cross Mexico. They are often victims of gang violence because they lack protection from the authorities due to their unauthorized status. Some migrants never reach their destinations. According to the American Civil Liberties Union and Mexico's National Human Rights Commission, between 350 and 500 migrants die each year from violence, drowning, or dehydration while crossing the desert to reach the U.S. Illegal immigration is a complicated issue that involves the U.S., Mexican, and Central American governments and societies. On the one hand, the immigrants' home countries have to improve living conditions and create better opportunities for their citizens so they are not forced to look to the outside for answers. On the other hand, the U.S. needs to admit its dependency on undocumented workers to do much of its manual and domestic labor and to provide legal and safe working opportunities for those seeking employment. Undocumented immigrants are a huge and important part of the U.S. workforce. According to a Pew Research Center study in 2005, 7.2 million undocumented workers were working in low-skilled and often grueling jobs like farming and construction. Only 31% of U.S.-born workers hold those occupations. Undocumented workers earn less than their American counterparts. More than half of adult unauthorized immigrants, 59%, had no health insurance during all of 2007. Because of their unauthorized status, they are forced to live in the shadows and they are scared to seek protection against unfair and unscrupulous employers. There have been developments in immigration reform in recent years, both pro and anti-immigrant. The harsh legislation of SB 1070 in Arizona, for instance, targets immigrants. There is also legislation like the DREAM Act being discussed, which will offer a way for undocumented immigrants that came to the U.S. as children to become lawful permanent residents after they complete a number of years in military service or higher education. Yet, no comprehensive reform that gets at the root of the issue has been created. We often hear of immigrants in the media, however, too often with negative and sensational tones. Undocumented immigrants are often equated with terrorists and drug traffickers, when in reality almost all immigrants are hardworking people trying to provide for their families. In 2008, 94% of undocumented immigrant men of working age were employed, compared to 83% of U.S. born men. We seldom see the dangerous journey immigrants go through to reach the U.S. and the longing that their families feel for them back at home. It is my desire that Poncho Rabbit and the Coyote, A Migrant's Tale, captures some of that sentiment. Ironically, the animals convey the human emotions and the side of the story. I hope this book will help teachers, librarians, and parents spark conversations with young people about this critical issue. Further, there are an estimated 1.5 million undocumented children in the U.S., and according to a 2011 Pew Hispanic Center report in 2008, there were 5.5 million children of illegal immigrants in U.S. schools. I think that a lot of those children will relate to Poncho Rabbit.